Hello and welcome to Press X. I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And today we've got some sort of reaction to news. We're going to be talking today about how Yukes, who have been making the WWE games both under 2K and before that with THQ, I think it's dating all the way back to 98.
Yeah, all the way back to 1998.
And now 2K WWE 2K20 will be the last game that have passed it over to the company, the American company that they have been working with. They have been working with Visual Concepts for the last few games, and this one, Visual Concepts to be taking the lead and Yukes to be backing out and no longer doing the WWE games.
So, just so I'm straight with this, Yukes are the developer, or have been the main developer of the WWE games.
Yes, for a very long time.
For a very long time. But now this Visual Concepts developer is taken over.
It's interesting timing because in the past, say, 6 months, there's been many news stories about how Yukes are very, I wouldn't say annoyed, but I will say annoyed about how 2K haven't really been playing fair. They've been given the run out the red carpet for the NBA games, and they were going to cannibalise their team, so there is a second team in-house who will be making a different wrestling game to foster creativity and make the games better that they do and have a little bit of in-studio competition. So the fact that Yukes aren't doing 2K games or WWE games anymore is interesting on multitude of levels. Questions that I'd be asking here today is, one, what could they possibly be doing with wrestling outside of the WWE engine and license? And two, the fact that this company doesn't do games for wrestling or WWE anymore, what does that mean for other license holders of things like that?
Yeah, I mean, so Yukes has been doing WWE games for a while, but Yukes is a Japanese developer, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. That's something that always seemed a bit odd to me. The fact that you had a Japanese developer developing what is very much an American franchise.
Well, they have global reach, WWE, but it is very American-facing.
Yeah, you understand what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I was always a bit puzzled as to why they didn't go with an American developer.
Well, they have now.
They have now. And I hate to be suspect of the timing and everything like that, but it just... I don't know. I don't know what to think about this, because Yukes, as with any game, as with any annual game franchise, especially a sports one, you're going to have hits and misses, right? Not all WWE games have been hits. Some of them have been better than others. Some of them...
Last year's was the best in a long while.
Yeah, but my main concern is that Yukes, after working on WWE for so long, are basically just a wrestling game developer now.
Well, I mean, certain companies can do that, but the problem is that we're being creatively stifled by 2K, so there was news reports, like I mentioned a little while ago, how they're just annoyed, so they're going to make another game separate from that.
See, I would love, with them being a Japanese developer, especially after Fire Pro Wrestling, right?
Which I didn't like.
I know you didn't like it, but loads of people...
My point on that was, a wrestling game is supposed to empower you, and that game, it was so difficult to get to grips with. It did the very opposite, I felt.
Yeah, but what would happen if Fire Pro Wrestling, if New Japan Pro Wrestling and Fire Pro Wrestling got involved with Yukes, and you had something that was more along the lines of the WWE type wrestling game, but for New Japan?
I think they'll do something completely different. I mean, just addressing the elephant in the room. All Elite Wrestling is the new sort of big wrestling thing in town. And one of their sort of vice presidents, executive vice presidents, and notorious, well, I wouldn't say notorious, that's selling him something he isn't, very well-known gaming type, Kenny Omega, said,
"Isn't it time we bring back the Aki engine?" Yeah!
Which, if you don't know your wrestling game history, that goes back to the WCW games on the N64.
Yeah.
Which segued, I think, into the Def Jam games that were on the PlayStation 3.
Yes, it did. It was PlayStation 2, the Def Jam games.
Yeah, and they went away, but...
It was on the PlayStation 3 as well. I think it was a kind of a crossover between the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3.
Kenny Omega wants to bring that back, so the video game a wrestling thing, competition, world competition is open, more open than it has been in a long time, but still it leaves like the longest developer of this, Yukes, what are they doing next? There was lots of debate whether it was going to be arcade or simulation. Honestly, given the amount of good stuff that they've done with the sim, I think that has to be the place where they sort of move forward, because, you know, you don't learn all that just to drop it the second you can.
I mean, if they want to stretch their wings, then then I would be all for. And I'm just throwing this out there, but it's been a long time. It's been a long time thing of mine. I would be all for kind of an RPG lucha libre, type game where you basically go around the world as a masked luchador type hero, and
Well, the thing is, you might like that, but the thing is, there's so many wrestling companies out there in the world. WWE basically did gut the UK wrestling scene.
Yeah.
But still, across the world, there's so many independent wrestling companies.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is...
And so, like, Mexican wrestling, Japanese wrestling, European wrestling, there's all this stuff out there that's never had a game.
Yeah, but there is also something else that's very Japanese and very much about wrestling, right? And I reckon if you can basically land this, because it's a property, it's a property that has kind of fallen by the wayside. Not as many people are as aware of it now, but it has the potential to be it actually was as big as Dragon Ball at one point. Kinnikuman or Ultimate Muscle.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine for the anime community, but
no, I'm saying
I feel like over the years they've got so many wrestling fans into that sort of system. I think if they didn't pick it up and do a proper wrestling game, I think they'd annoy a lot of people.
No, what I'm saying is they could do something like that alongside doing a proper wrestling game. Do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no reason why going forward they have to be tied into this whole 1 year cycle.
Exactly. And my point is that because, I mean, you know that creator wrestler that you liked so much, right?
Well, yeah, it's excellent.
Imagine that you could create your very own anime-style wrestler. How many?
I'd rather not, honestly.
But how many people would not be happy with that?
I think you're dividing I mean, anime fans would love that, but wrestling fans, I don't think they would.
Yeah, they might not. But I mean, the thing is, that's kind of a bridge. It crosses the chasm from anime to wrestling, and so you will get people from anime more interested in wrestling, and they'll go and play the wrestling game because they like the way the game plays. They've just come at it from a different angle, and I think that's something that could happen.
Well, I think I'm not going to agree on that in any way, shape, or form, but it's fine. It's your opinion. You can put it across there.
Hey, my first choice was still the RPG involving like luchador heroes going around saving the world.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you MFKZ, you mean?
Yeah, basically.
An anime from France, I think it was, whose name, when said properly, is not broadcastable in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I prefer to see them do sort of more Japanese and Mexican collaborative release. So say get in touch with CMLL or AAA or New Japan and Noah or something like that, and just have like this big cross pool of wrestlers.
Yeah.
But then again, it have to be much smaller scale because those companies don't have the sway or the world popularity as WWE. I mean, in Mexico, yes, they do. In Japan, yes, they do. But other places, not so much.
Yeah. You mentioned, though, what does it mean for other annual sports games and the developers of those?
Yeah, I'm not saying stuff like PES because PES is entirely Konami's creation. I mean, companies that, like 2K have NBA.
Yeah.
That's no longer a given. EA have FIFA. That's no longer a given because FIFA, as long as they've been doing that since, I'd say the early 90s. 92, I think it was, the first one.
Yeah. See, this is what's always confusing.
FIFA is the independent governing body of football, so EA don't own that.
Yeah, but that's what's always confused me. FIFA have so much money, right? They could turn around and say, right, EA, sorry, we've got our own developers now. We're going to start making the games ourselves. And I've always been confused as to why FIFA have basically been selling the license rather than making the game themselves, because they could easily do that.
There's a lot of other questions you're asking there, though, isn't there?
Do you see what I mean, though? It is
Yeah,
confusing.
I see what you mean.
Because FIFA could have total control over all the licensing of their own in-house developed game. And because it's related to football, they would still have governance of it. So they wouldn't have to waste time with all the rigmarole of licensing and stuff like that. They could basically do it themselves. They have the money, they have the capacity, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if that is going to happen, which I don't think it is, the time is now, because there's been this whole incredible backlash against their microtransactions, which EA seem to think are necessary to pay for the license of FIFA because it costs that much.
Exactly.
It only costs that much because FIFA, well, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm not going to go into it, but it's a lot of it on the internet. It's out there. But again, yeah, the fact that none of these licenses belong to a company forever, that's kind of a game changer, which isn't being talked about in any way, shape, or form, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's just, it's frustrating because when you've got a company like when you've got a company like EA, who are very much invested in the whole idea of microtransactions.
They're a champion of it.
Yeah.
They're invested.
That's what I mean. I was understating things.
Yeah, they didn't like it called microtransactions, so in front of a government review, they worded it, we don't like calling it. They said, no, we don't like calling it microtransactions. It's surprise mechanics.
Yeah, I know. Until somebody turned around and said, it's still gambling.
Yeah, I mean, it's so bad. But it's interesting, I think, the idea that FIFA will not always be EA's, that NHL and NBA will not forever be 2Ks.
No, NHL and NBA. EA also have access to them.
Yeah, I mean, NFL is also EA's, so...
Yeah, but the thing about FIFA, the thing about EA in general, I mean, the first 6 years that FIFA was a game, it was developed by Extended Play from 91 to 97.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it wasn't FIFA.
Well, I probably did, but it's just consigned to memory banks way back in the back of the head.
I had to seriously think, and then obviously I Googled it.
Yeah, because to be honest, EA in the 1990s weren't really anything, were they?
No, they were just a publisher. They weren't really anything. They had some minor success, but you had other publishers during the 80s and 90s who were just as successful as EA. You had US Gold, you had Ocean, you had loads of others as well. But EA were just kind of, they were a drop in the ocean at that point. But from 97, EA Vancouver took over, and they're still one of the developers of FIFA, and EA Bucharest as well from 2016.
So even within EA's lifetime,
Yeah.
there's evidence there that suggests that companies like this have been resting on their laurels for much, much too long.
Yeah.
And on the one side, it's liberating. Like, I'm assuming it's going to be for Yukes, and I'm hoping it's going to be for Yukes.
Yeah. I mean, 22 years it's been developed by EA Vancouver.
Well, I hope that EA and 2K are paying attention to this event and not just sort of shrugging it off as all these things happen, because a lot of people have been looking at it that way, haven't they?
Yeah. Yes, they have.
In response to that sort of flippancy, no, these things do not happen, ever. It's just not a done thing.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's the age-old thing. You do something for so long, you think you own it, you think it's yours.
Yeah.
You know, even though it belongs to somebody else, you feel a sense of ownership to it. And that's what's happened with Yukes. That's one of the reasons why I think they're feeling hard done by. They've been developing it for so long.
No, they don't feel hard done by it. They actually feel quite liberated by it.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have felt hard done by it. I mean, human reaction being a thing, I would have felt hard done by it at some point.
I mean, that's not the way that they're expressed it through press releases and statements. They're just sort of transitioning out. They're helping the company whose name I can't remember.
Yeah, but when they first got the decision, they would have been hard. They would have felt hard done by. Right now, they're putting best face on it.
Well, you say that, but they were setting up a second team to make another game, so they weren't feeling so creatively exhausted.
Yeah, again, though, I'll put that down to, yeah, look, we'll do this project together. Don't worry about it. We still want to work together with you.
Now, honestly, I think they are liberated, but you can read it however you want, but I feel like they have been sort of...
No, I think they're probably feeling liberated now. I'm just talking about their first reaction.
Yeah, I mean, 2K weren't making it easy for them.
Yeah.
And to be free of that, I think, is what's important for that company to grow.
But that's one of the things that you have these days with so many big publishers now. And you've got Square Enix, you've got EA, you've got 2K, you've got, even a massive indie publisher like Devolver Digital, right? You have this disconnect between the people who run the publisher and the people who actually make the games. Right?
Yeah.
There's this massive disconnect between the two because the publishers have their vision of how the game should be, and the developers have their vision of how the game should be. And
yeah, you're straying into another topic there, but
no, but
yeah.
all I'm saying is it's not very often and it's not very common that the two will meet in the middle and have exactly the same vision.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and that's all I'm saying, and I think that's.
And I mean, in the case of 2K, they just weren't being very forthcoming with resources. That's all.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Maybe it's something that's been building for several years. We just haven't seen it until now.
Maybe. But it's an interesting time for wrestling games. Like AEW has made it a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
In a sense of there's many things competing, and when many things are competing, it just makes the end result better. It just makes it better for the consumer.
Well, yeah.
The same is true here. It's better for the wrestling consumer. It's better than it's ever been in the next year or two or whatever.
Yeah, it's a consumer's market now, and that's great.
Yeah. That's a good point to end this on. So if you like that or have something to add, do comment below. But please do subscribe and click on that bell notification. Now, until next time, with Press X and the Geek Show, thanks for watching.